Our world is a globe, something we have known for over 2,000 years after Eratosthenes carried out an experiment measuring shadows on the ground, and from that was able to work out the shape of the world. Everyone knows the world is round. Well, nearly everyone. We know a lot about this planet, so it's amazing that there are still people in this day and age who believe, or at least pretend to believe, that the world is flat. Most modern flat Earth beliefs come from the works of a guy called Samuel Rowbotham. He wrote a book called Zetetic Astronomy, published way back in 1864. Rowbotham had carried out an experiment along the Bedford River known as the Bedford Level Experiment and failed to find any evidence of the expected Earth curvature, which led him to the conclusion the world was flat. Rowbotham, however, had failed to take into account the effects of atmospheric refraction. Refraction is a property of light where objects that would normally be beyond our field of vision can now rise into our field of view. Flat Earth has its schisms, and there are disagreements amongst flat earthers exactly how everything works, but there are still some universals. Earth is a flat, stationary plane surrounded by an ice wall, that's Antarctica to you and me, contained within inside a dome or firmament. So what is the evidence, and I use that term loosely, that has brought these people to the belief that the world is not the oblate spheroid we all accept it as? For one thing, they have a real problem accepting that the Earth could have an atmosphere next to space. Apparently, space, the vacuum, should be sucking up all of our atmosphere into it. This is incorrect.
Vacuums don't suck. Everyone say it with me together. Vacuums don't suck.
We have a pressure gradient held in place by gravity. This is why you need to bring an oxygen tank if you want to climb Mount Everest. The second claim that flat earthers like to make is that water cannot stick to a ball. Flat earthers like this one because the globe actually agrees with them on this. This is because the laws of gravity say all objects are attracted towards each other. But the greater the mass, the greater the attraction. And the greatest form of mass on Earth is, well, the Earth. So when what is predicted to happen happens, this is somehow a proof the Earth is flat. That brings us to the third claim of flat Earth. Gravity doesn't exist. Gravity can't exist on a flat Earth, because if it did, the Earth would collapse into, well, a spear. So why do objects always fall down? Two alternatives are often put forward: density and electromagnetism. Density is just an object's mass divided by its volume. It does nothing to indicate the direction of travel. According to Flat Earth, this ball will fall to the Earth because the air below the ball is less dense than the ball, so the air will be displaced. But the air above the ball is ever so slightly less dense than the air beneath it, so surely upward would be the more natural direction of travel. Electromagnetism is better, and at first glance it can seem plausible, but it has its problems as well. Different materials have different magnetic properties, so they will not all react in exactly the same way. It can't reproduce the gravitational constant of 9.8 meters per second that scientists can use to calculate and make predictions within a very small margin of error. There is a lot more dumb we can cover, but I think I'll save those for another time. Now, let's look at some of the people behind Flat Earth. First, there's Bob Nodell and his Globebusters team. Bob was featured prominently in a 2018 Netflix documentary, Behind the Curve, in which he inadvertently proved the rotation of the Earth.
Is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift.
Thanks, Bob.
Interesting.
Yes, Jaren, I know, you were in it too. Also featured was Mark Sargent. M plus P forever, am I right? In the UK, we have Nathan Oakley and his Flat Earth debate team, a sort of low-rent version of the Globebusters. Sitting at the top of the tree, however, is probably one Eric Dubay, the modern-day Samuel Rowbotham. Dubay published his book 200 Proofs the Earth is Not a Spinning Ball. They're all bunkum, by the way. By profession, Dubay is a yoga instructor. This is not to insult all yoga instructors, but they are not scientists. In fact, flat earthers never have science qualifications, and very rarely have ever worked in a field that could give them some insight into the shape of the earth. There are some, however, who are fighting back against this blissful ignorance. This is YouTuber FTFE, or Fight the Flat Earth. He has been in over 600 online debates with flat earthers. FTFE has 2 physics degrees and has served in the Royal Navy. There are others, similarly qualified people who also do these online debates, and they often have Patreons and/or paid sponsorships. So the question now becomes, with everything weighted so heavily on their side, are they professional bullies? They will tell you no, and actually what they do is very important. So what is the problem with Flat Earth? I mean, it's silly, but it's basically harmless, right? Meet Dave Murphy, flat earther, urine drinker, yes, really, anti-vaxxer. This is him trying to arrest a policeman. Flat Earth is more than just a rejection of science, it's a rejection of all authority. If you can't trust your government to be truthful about something as trivial as the shape of the Earth, why would you ever trust them when something serious comes along, such as, say, a global pandemic? So if the likes of Simon Dan, FTFE, and MC Toon can steer people away from these charlatans, that can only be a good thing. That's enough on Flat Earth for one day. There's plenty more to say. I haven't even touched how NASA are supposed to be behind everything, but that's for another day. Next time, I step outside the law to look at the world of sovereign citizens. But until then, enjoy this weird and wonderful life.